A young man known as Nazir Elahi regularly walked on the streets of Gulf Manor, his hometown, living a normal life. He had never witnessed anything chaotic there. Everyone minded their own business and things were simple. Until one day Elahi was strolling on the same usual streets on a seemingly regular day. He could feel the breeze of air touching his face, looking around to take in the scenic view, when an unusual sight crossed his eyes. As he was about to look away, he suddenly shifted his gaze back at the man again, only to witness something strangely disturbing which he had not expected. He saw a middle-aged man dragging a young girl down the opposite street. Elahi was baffled at first. He slowed down his pace and a series of thoughts ran through his mind. You will be stricken to know. This did not seem like something that would normally happen. By the looks of it, the man seemed quite different from the girl, but they could have been related in any way. So that was not the problem. What seemed odd to him was the forceful, tight grip by which he held the girl. Elahi glimpsed at the girl who appeared to be crying, which made the situation seem even worse. She seemed as if she was of a tender age, and was trying hard to force her hand away from that man. But he was years older than her and much stronger. The timid kid fiercely struggled her way to unclamp his hardened fingers off of her wrist. Elahi's initial thought process was to ignore the distressing event he had come across, because maybe it was a family matter. But what happened next made his blood run cold. As he was reluctant to intrude into their affairs, and decided to look away to continue his journey, the screeching and squealing sounds of the little girl could not let him focus on his steps. After turning his back on his intuition and sixth sense that something was wrong and suspicious about this situation, he finally gained enough courage to look into the matter steadily. His heart started pounding faster than ever as soon as he realized that the girl had caught his eyes at the same time, and with a desperate look in her innocent, wide eyes, she silently mouthed the words, "Help me." The cry for help killed him inside. His heart sank and he could not hold himself back. He had to do something about it. Without thinking twice about anything at all, Elahi approached the two strangers and inquired from the girl if she knew the man. To his dismay, she denied knowing the person who had been skidding her all along the whole street with an intense grip. He then shifted his attention to the man, investigating if he was related to her in any way possible. The person was in a hurry and got nervous with the question thrown at him abruptly that he hastily let out, "No, I'm taking her home." And instead of being selfish and turning his back on a stranger's matter, Elahi instantly called the cops on the stranger. But as he did, the stranger tried making things worse. In a split of a second, he disappeared from his sight and started to run away from the scene. Elahi did not care about himself at this point. He cared about the unfamiliar young soul as much as he cared about himself. And so, he chased him to the point where he could not catch his breath. Thankfully, the cops arrived just on time and arrested the man, whose identity was revealed to be Jesse Woodward Jr., aged 37-year-old, who was then charged with kidnapping. If he had gotten that little girl to wherever he was going to, she could have been raped, killed, Elahi said. If I could have done something else, I would have. But the right thing to do was to call the police and keep the girl safe. He was relieved to have approached the suspicious-looking pair and helping a person he did not know, instead of turning a blind eye and walk away. It is pleasing to know that people like Elahi still exist. If it wasn't for him, and if he did not trust his gut feeling that something was wrong, the situation would have turned out to be regrettable. This surely instills in our minds to pay heed to situations like these around us, in our society, and never turn our back on them. What would have been your first instinct if you were there instead? Would you have done the same thing and intervened in their business because child abuse is intolerable, even if done by a parent? Or would you have ignored it thinking it is none of your concern, because it is their personal matter? Thank you for watching. Tap one of the two videos on the screen and stay tuned for another amazing story. Goodbye.